Hello, Boulder. So I'm going to tell you the story of when I got kicked out of an airport in China. My name's Benjamin. My partner Sarah and I quit our jobs in 2012, and we spent about a year backpacking abroad. Now, about 6-7 weeks into the trip, we'd made it through Thailand and Vietnam. We were going from Hong Kong out to Japan. We were really excited about the reasonable airfare, which is really just cheap airfare that we had going to Japan. Now, the trick was this airfare had a layover, and the stopover happened to be in this tiny little city called Dalian, China. Now, in addition to the stopover, we'd done some research. We were trying to plan a little bit, and the Chinese embassy's website assured us that as long as we didn't leave the airport, you'd be good, right? Also, for the record, this is where Dalian happens to be on a map. You can see it in reference with North Korea. Not quite where we expected, but we'd also read that this is the busiest airport in northeastern China. All right, what could possibly go wrong? So we land at a one-runway airport, a little bit delayed, so there's no one there. All of the counters are closed, and they basically have these signs pointing us through to Immigration and Customs. We're like, all right, what are we going to do? So we walk up to Immigration and Customs and hand over our passports. Because we didn't have a visa, they end up stamping them on the spot and saying, all right, welcome to China. We walk upstairs to the terminal. It's pretty much dead quiet at 11:30 at night. We're like, all right, well, we've got a flight in like 8 hours, so we'll just find a little spot, sit down, and try and take a nap. Security guard comes over and speaks in Chinese for a little bit and changes to English and tells us that the airport is closed. And more excitingly, that we had to leave, and so we asked, like, where are we going to go? And he's like, I don't know, hotel? This was not so good because we really didn't know where we were. So this is a small aside. This is Apple Maps in China. You can see Boulder on the left and then DC on the right. It's not so helpful. And then our phones are at like 12% battery, so we're like, shit, what are we going to do? So we spent about 5 minutes panicking, and then we set to work. We pulled money out of an ATM. We put on every layer of clothing we had because, again, we're coming from Southeast Asia. It's nice and warm. And we start going outside, and we walk up and down the taxi line, knocking on every door, asking, do you speak English? Pretty much everyone's like, nope. But at the end of the taxi line is this little ticket booth, and it has all this writing in neon in Chinese with 2 words in English, and I'm really excited because it says bus tickets. I'm like, score, we're saved. So we run over to this little booth, and inside are 2 20-something-year-olds, and we start talking to them. Now, they don't speak much English, but they speak a little bit, so the conversation is something like this. I walk up and say, bus tickets, and the dude inside says, okay, address, and I'm like, a hotel. And he turns back, he's like, okay, which hotel? I'm like, any hotel, it doesn't matter. And he just looks at me, he's a little bit confused, he's like, bus tickets? And we do this 2 or 3 times before we start to walk away because he doesn't know what we're talking about. As we're walking away, they yell us back over, and he hands me the cell phone that has someone on the other end of the line to translate. And what's a miracle about this is the gal asked this kind of profound question, what is it you seek in a hotel? So the first word that comes to mind is, I need a cheap hotel because I don't have much cash. And then I realized I don't have time to go an hour out, so we need a cheap hotel near the airport. And she's like, all right, wait here. Now, it's cold outside. It's negative 10 degrees, and we're dressed for this weather. So we're shivering while the 2 inside this ticket booth, they've got a space heater and down jackets on. They invite us into this ticket booth, and we're all just standing there because we can't say a word to each other. And we all just start laughing because it's so absurd. About a half hour later, a little van comes by, and it takes them home, and on their way home, they actually drop us off at this hotel. Now, this is exciting because I actually check in on Foursquare. I have no idea how to pronounce the name of the hotel, but it had a locked door, a bed, and a heated toilet seat. We were safe for about 5 hours. We meander on downstairs, check out, and the gal at the counter just points to the door and we ask for a taxi. So this next taxi comes up, and again, we're having some trouble with the language, and fortunately, we'd taken a screenshot, and the screenshot is what we show to the taxi driver, and he's just looking at it like, are you sure you want to go here? I'm like, yes, this is where I want to go. We end up pantomiming to convince him that this is actually what we're trying to do, and he drives us back, and we get back, and kind of the moral of this for me, why I think about this story 3 years later, is you don't have to speak the same language to be able to have a conversation. And for those 2 folks in the ticket booth, they went the extra step to actually help us out and do something really, really important, really helpful for us. And the last piece that I'd suggest is probably don't have a stopover in China. Thanks, everyone.